Hello everybody. So, I've been thinking a lot recently about bringing back Bone Canoe 86, having a comeback of a sorts. Now, I never really stopped doing the channel entirely, but, as you can probably tell, it hasn't really been a serious thing in, depending on what you consider to be a serious project, anywhere from 6 to 10 years, and that's a long time. And for a long time I considered it a completely dead property, but over the past few months I've been thinking seriously about a comeback. And by a comeback, I don't necessarily mean becoming huge or anything, or in any way big, but just sort of like reaching a level equivalent to what I had back in the day, back in, let's say 2011 to 2013, which is a pretty modest hill to climb. I was never that big in the first place. So I was wondering if that kind of thing could be possible again. And the answer is, I don't know. But I think I kind of want to try to do it. Now, I was wondering to myself, the question of whether there's a place for Bone Canoe 86 in this current day and age. And the answer is, there might be. Because I know that people's habits have changed, and the way that people consume videos and everything has changed, and I was wondering if I could ever adapt to the new mindset. And what I was thinking is maybe I don't have to, at least not entirely. I mean, of course, certain concessions to the way that things are done these days are always going to be needed, but I think to what extent Bone Canoe 86 and the brand, so to speak, has value and relevance is in its legacy, in its, in the retroness of it. And by retro, I don't mean necessarily playing retro games. The channel and the idea itself is retro. The name Bone Canoe 86 and the kind of content that I made, yes, I'm going to use the word content, why not, is, I think, forever tied to a certain time, and that time being sort of the 2009 to 2013 YouTube and internet as it existed at that time. And I think there are people who are nostalgic for that time in, in YouTube history and just in their lives. There's an entire generation who's come up now who looks at that time the way that I might look at the 90s, or slightly older people might look at the 80s, It's just a resource I can tap into, I think, that nostalgia, and present basically a 2011 style Let's Play done in 2023. And I think that could be something that people might be interested in. Now, when it comes to how the videos are going to be made, I've done my little things over the last few years that were kind of like little jokes or little throwaway things that I never intended to have many views, and I fully expected not to have many views. But I think I want to do something, try a little bit harder, do a little bit more serious. Because one thing that I want to do is respect people's time. And that was something I never really took into consideration during the old days. I just made what I made and figured people will either watch it or they won't, which is still fundamentally true for anything I decide to do. But I want people, if they sit down to watch, let's say, a 20-minute Bone Canoe 86 video, to feel that that was a 20 minutes of their life that was well spent, that wasn't wasted. And that is a calculation I want to put forward in any video that I make from here on out, is like, does the person watching this, are they going to have a quality 20 minutes of their life watching this video, or is it going to be a complete waste of time? And if it's a complete waste of time, like, why would I ever expect them to watch it? You know, why would I want them to? Would I myself watch it? And if the answer is no, then I need to do better, basically. So that's a consideration. And I was also thinking of, like, in general, what kind of audience would be watching these videos? Because I think if we watched my videos in the old days, and it was mostly, I would say the average age of the viewer was a teenager who was about 10 years younger than me. Now, the thing is, that sort of, in the modern sense, that presents a fork in the road, because teenagers and people 10 years younger than me are two completely different groups of people now, because time has gone on so much. My old audience, that kind of person who was a teenager in the 09 to 13 time period, that person is now in their mid to late 20s and very likely has a life of their own, responsibilities. You know, they might have a career, they might be married and have kids and have no interest in this kind of content. Then again, if I go for teenagers, that's an entirely different thing, because while in the old days, when I was in my early to mid 20s, you know, I wasn't that far removed from the teenagers. You know, I was a different generation, but I could still connect to them. But the age gap at this point is so vast that it would be like their dad doing a Let's Play at this point, or their funny uncle or something, because, you know, I'm just that much older than the average, you know, 13 or 14-year-old who's going to be on YouTube looking for something to watch. But I think even despite that, there are still people who are going to be interested in watching that kind of old school content, because, like I said, that time period has fallen so far into the past that it itself has become nostalgic. And I think people are willing to possibly indulge in a little bit of something that brings them back to that time period. And I don't intend to change my style or anything. Like, maybe I'll try making custom thumbnails a little bit, or, you know, giving my videos more interesting titles. You know, like a few concessions to the modern way of doing things. But fundamentally, you know, it's going to be a 2011, 2013 style Let's Play channel. And, you know, now that I have my new computer, I can do it without much problem. Like, I can do Skylines now. Like, I could never do Skylines in my old computer. It just didn't have the power to do it. But now I can do Skylines, I can do Civ, I can do Stellaris, I can even do Sims, if people are still interested in that. And hey, in a few months, Skylines 2 is coming out, and I fully intend to do that. And maybe I'll, you know, try something else. You know, you might have seen I did a few polls on the community page, and people seem to be at least somewhat interested in the idea of me doing, like, a Red Dead Redemption, or not Fallout, what was it? A GTA San Andreas Let's Play. Something completely off the beaten path for me. It's worth trying, I think, and all these things are possible. So I really want to see everyone's feedback, you know? If you're watching this video, I want to see your comment, no matter what you have to say, even if your whole response is going to be, a comeback isn't worth it, you shouldn't try it. I want to hear that even, you know. I want to hear any kind of feedback you have for me based on what you think would be a good thing going forward for me. Because I want to know just the mood out there, you know. Because, you know, I'm going to start with you guys. I hopefully will attract more viewers as time goes on. But, you know, it all starts with you, the people who are watching this right now, the people who have either stuck around since the old days or have family between now and then. So, yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. I want to keep this under 10 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up now with a message of thanks for anyone who's watched any of my videos at any point, and especially thank you to anyone who stuck with me and keeps watching this channel after all these years. You are the GOATs, as they say. Alright, I'll see you guys very soon with some new videos, and that's a promise. Goodbye.